All right, let's go. All right, let's go. They got Ryan O'Reilly. And you know his mother's name. You know what his mother's name is? Bonnie O'Reilly. I met her in L.A. I was out for a walk, and she was coming across the street, and she knew me. And I was famous back then. And we
would have probably run into her when we watched Ryan when he played for the Junior Canadians and GTHL. So I'm sure we bumped into her in the rink.
No, I don't remember, but I remember Ryan O'Reilly. He couldn't have got, and Noel Accardi. You know, he's top. He was at one time. He was in the top 10 of hits in the league.
Yeah, I think he still is right now. He led St. Louis with hits. So,
did he?
But before we get in, Cindy, you have a story about Ryan O'Reilly's mom, Bonnie, and some people forget, and I think that you should tell that story.
Well, we talked about it before, but I'll say it again. It was pretty important that his mom donated her kidney to a gentleman that was a rink manager and used to open up the rink early in the morning so him and his brother could practice in the morning before school. That's how dedicated they were. Oh, and she heard
Ryan used to
before school, before 6:30 in the morning, this guy used to open up the rinks.
You know, I should tell about the story that Les Allman and Ed Birchall. Well, someday I'll tell the whole story.
Oh, it's a good story. Go ahead and tell it. You guys were the ones that kept...
Well, I got to think about it now. All right, here's the deal. We used to have to get there early in the morning at the Rideau Public School in Kingston, and the firemen used to, the night before, they'd open up the hydrants, and we had to put the blue line in and the red line in and the goal line in and the whole deal. And Les was there and Ed was there. They were at the far end.
So the question is, how could you get in trouble?
Oh.
Just painting.
You want to hear how did I get strapped?
Yeah, you got strapped.
Yeah. Oh, so you were painting. So you had actual paint that you were painting the red line, the blue line.
I was painting the red line from the goal over, and the girls were giving me a hard time and everything. I must have been an awful kid.
Well, maybe the lines weren't straight. They were telling me.
Something like that. And I just splashed them with this and all over their white coats.
So you threw paint on them.
Did I ever get paint on them? Did I ever get slapped? But anyhow, Ryan O'Reilly used to get out early, and Bonnie gave her kidney.
And Bonnie, this is the thing. She heard that this gentleman was sick, and she donated her kidney. And they did all the match. You know, they did all the tests. As you know, there's a lot of tests to do, and a lot of people volunteered blood to see if they were.
Remember, we had a meeting. We Rose and I and you and Dr. Heron.
Right.
Yeah. Remember, he was an Australian,
right,
and he used to speak low, and you couldn't understand him.
Yeah, he was a soft talker, boy.
This is when I was sick in Boston, and I needed a transplant.
Yeah. And this is the thing.
And there was a silence there, and you know.
Oh, there was. Oh, you're talking about the silence that made it into the movie because you know they're very thorough and they tell you everything about the procedure, you know, and they have to be, and so then they say, okay, is there any questions? And we all sit there like dummies. We don't have not one educated question to ask.
Well, he was waiting to see if you're going to do it.
Yeah, and remember, Sydney, I
just thought it was a given thing I was going to do it.
No, he was waiting to see. And I said to him, well, like, why did you hesitate? He says, there's a lot of people out there that they're members of their family, let them die.
Well, do you remember my educated question, Tim?
Yeah.
was... he goes, Cindy, do you have any questions? I go, yeah, how much weight will I lose? He goes, out of all this is what you're concerned about, how much weight you're going to lose.
I remember that.
You know, the one thing, too, I remember, though, Cindy, was like, we didn't sign one piece of paper. Like, now you have to sign about 1,000 forms to get it.
I don't think I signed anything.
I didn't sign anything.
We didn't sign one release form.
I didn't sign one thing that you could take my kidney. And years and years and years later, I met Dr. Heron, and I said, it's a funny thing. I said, out of all that, rigmarole, I says, I never signed one contract or piece of paper. He goes, Cindy, we knew who we were dealing with. Imagine him saying that, right?
What did he say?
He goes, Cindy, he goes, we knew who we were dealing with.
Oh,
As
I
in,
see.
we're the type of people that don't sue.
Remember the baseball player come up to see you or the referee?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was, I was in the hospital for a long time, and I was in the room, and Mom kept bugging me to go for a walk. And, you're not feeling good. I don't want to go for a walk. I'm kind of in a funky mood. And every day, Mom's in there, go for a walk. And I said, Mom, I don't want to go for a walk. I just want to. So she's getting on my nerves, Mom. So I finally said, all right, fine, I'll go for a walk. So for 2 weeks, I've been in my room, and this is the first time I've been out of my room for 2 weeks. And I went for a walk, and I came back. Carl Yastrzemski, Dwight.
And he was a big deal back then, boy.
Oh, yeah. Dwight Evans. And Dwight Evans, and I don't know if the manager came.
Pesky.
Pesky came,
Yeah,
right.
Johnny
and they
Pesky.
came and they gave me, I still have a signed bat from Carl Yastrzemski. He said, get well, Tim. And Dwight, and I missed him. Oh. And boy, was I mad.
I guess so. We could do a whole show on that kidney, Tim.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on that. But anyhow, I remember that, and that's nice.
But anyway, that's a great Ryan. That kind of shows you where Ryan gets his character, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the thing, because when we watch Ryan play in minor midget, his skating wasn't that good.
No, he was a tough skater.
But his determination just was
He
so
seemed
much
to get there.
Yeah, like he thought, he's never going to beat this guy to the puck, but somehow he would.
Well,
And,
he goes in first.
Yeah, and he goes in first and takes a beating. And, like we were saying, Dad, the Leafs don't have a guy like him. Like he's a little different than Tavares. He's got a little different mindset than the rest of them.
Oh, but they couldn't have got a better guy, and they got that Neil Akari too. And
You were saying, though, an interesting thing, Dad, that you think Keith's toughest job now is how to fit guys in on like the third and fourth line.
I never had extra guys on the Boston Bruins, because if you do, they all hang around together. If there's 3 or 4 guys, like they have about 4 or 5 guys hanging around, they'll all bond together, and they're all unhappy. They want to be playing, and I actually would play short. And that's why the guys in Rochester Americans, our farm team, did not like me, because I would play. Here's the way I thought. First of all, we had the valuable player. I think it was Doug Gibson. He was the most valuable player. He was a high scorer, but I didn't need him. I had the 3 guys we had. The center we had got 20 goals. I needed a guy to kill penalties, and boy, they did not like me. I heard that when the Boston Bruins lost, and they'd come over and they'd be on a bus, they'd all cheer. That's okay. By the way, I just want to check in and say that Tanner Pearson is going to be out for the rest of the season. He got a hand injury. And I saw last night a guy, this is Sunday morning, I saw last night a guy block a shot, and his finger went up twice the size. I would have them wear gloves that they couldn't hurt their hands. I went 16 years and I never had a hand injury, except in the fights. But I never had a hand injury from a block shot or anything like that. You could smash as hard as you can with those gloves we used to have, and we'd never get hurt.
So, Cindy, Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Spreads.ca. They're a Canadian-owned online casino and sportsbook, and if you sign up now, you can use the promo GRAPES, and they'll match your deposit up to $500. You get 10 spins on the big wheel and for some big dough, and your first bet, they'll spot you $25. So it's amazing. They have live dealers now. I don't know how they do it, but you could go in and do a live dealer. But you go
down and bet, and
I bet. I gotta say, the Edmonton Oilers fans are gonna be mad, but I bet I took the Rangers over Edmonton because I think the Rangers are on a bit of a roll, and Edmonton was up 4-1.
That's when I stopped watching them.
And I thought, I still think the Rangers are going to come back. And I went down and it was like you could bet halfway. You could bet at that time. So it was like about 12 to 1. You get $12 for every dollar you bet for the Rangers to come back. And I thought, nah, they won't come back. But I think they will. And then, nah, I didn't bet. And sure enough, they came back and won. So, but the funny thing is, Dad, we were watching the Super Bowl, speaking of the thing.
Yeah, and I noticed something that ridiculous. How do you feel about this? I'm going to tell you when it's true. They give the owner the cup first.
Yeah, the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah,
is handed from commissioner to the owner of the Chiefs.
And the baseball do that too.
Yeah.
Well, they foot the bill.
Football and the whole deal. Well, I suppose
But the only sport that
the
doesn't,
only sport that doesn't is hockey.
It gives it to the captain is hockey. All the rest of the ones give it to the owners. And not only then the players pass it around. And I said, the reality is the owners are one of the last ones to get it because they
don't even take a picture of them.
Well, like you go, well, they pass it around, they give it to all the players, and they give it to the coach, then the trainers and the doctors, and then finally the owners and that come down. Yeah. So I don't know, different mentality, I guess,
yes.
of hockey. But
I still think they should give it to the captain. I remember when they give it to Johnny Busick when the Bruins won, and he skated around. He was the first guy to skate around and to the fans.
Well, I don't know, I'm sitting there's Patrick Mahomes. He's back there. He probably can't feel his leg because it's all numbed up. And he was the guy taking all the hits.
Yeah, he was standing to the side.
And they go, you don't give him as the owner. You don't say, hey, thanks for winning. The Lombardi Trophy. You get it first. He gives. I don't know. I think the player should get it.
Yeah, just thought I'd notice that.
Interesting. So I'll ask you. We're going to get into some questions, Dad. With
we got to get into the questions.
But one thing that happened, we'll talk about it quickly. One thing happened in Calgary this week. Alan Walsh, the superstar agent, put out a tweet saying that
I don't know why he does that.
Knocking basically Sutter, and then saying that he sucks the fun out of.
He's the guy that did with the sword through the.
And he's the guy that did the sword through the tweet with the sword through Fleury's back on the board.
How I feel about that is. Huberdeau's got to go in and face Sutter. Somewhere along the line, and Sutter's not, and he does not forget. But why would he do that? Because Huberdeau's got to answer all the questions, and he's sitting back in New York or someplace wherever he is, or California, and Huberdeau, all it does is make it hard on his client.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
No, I know. Well, but it said that it sucks all the fun out of. Did you ever play for a coach that sucked all the fun out of hockey?
I played for Eddie Shore for 3.5 years.
It was
I was thinking about that the other day. Here I am, 22 years old, still, and Floyd Smith and I, and we got both, and he sent us to, and they used to have in their contract, you cannot be sent to Shore. That the NHL had, you can't be sent to Shore because he was such a. Don't talk to Brian Killery about it, but he was a mean guy. He really was a mean guy, and I played for him for 3.5 years.
And hockey was no fun.
And it was not any fun at all. And when you went on I remember I went on the ice once. Honest to God, this is a true story. I hadn't even put on my gloves. At the start of the year, I was going out by myself, and I hadn't even put on my gloves. And he called me over. I hadn't even put on my gloves. Oh well, no, yeah, I played for that.
Did you ever play for a coach? Who was your coach that made it the most fun?
No, let me think.
Would it be Punch?
No, Punch was tough too. He was next, but he was the best coach I ever played for. I would say Frank Curry. I had him in Kitchener. I was in Kitchener at the best. Maybe it was because I had the best place.
You went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying, but Kitchener, you had the nicest apartment you've ever had.
So I remember phoning Rose. I remember this, and I said, No, I haven't got the place yet. And I knew.
The beginning. So just a thing. So at the beginning of the year, all the guys would come in and they'd find an apartment, so the teams would help.
But
them.
I didn't like the apartments. And
So you didn't get them. So mom's coming up and you don't have an apartment.
No, and
We have nowhere to live.
Yeah. Oh, and I should tell you. Okay, well, see, we're into it. I might as well tell a story. This guy was. We went up with three flights of stairs, but it was a beautiful apartment. But it was 3 flights, and it was my turn. Like you go out with two guys. Two guys go out. It's your turn this time, and then my turn, and your turn. This was my time. And this guy, I remember him going, you're Polish, eh? My wife is Polish. Oh, well.
So the landlord was Polish. Who was the guy? Do you remember? Who was the guy? Do you remember?
No, I don't want to say the guy's name. Jack Bonus was this guy's name. And, yeah, well, why not? So, yeah, I can't get fired off this there, can I? So, anyhow, so he got that apartment on, and it was nice, but it was up 3 flights. So... I said I can't get any, and I said, let me get this right. Everybody's got a place to live, but you, and you have. Do you really want me to?
So mom wasn't too happy.
No, she was not too happy. I found that it was a brand new house. It was unbelievable. Jack's wife come over, and I remember he had a big beautiful car at the front, and she says, "Oh, this place is just." Gorgeous, Rose. I just love it. Not like Jack 3 stars. He was so mad he went out and sat in the car. Oh, that was the view. How do we get into that?
And so these were all these all must have been furnished apartments too, eh?
They're all furnished,
Yeah.
and I don't know whether that one was furnished or not. Anyhow, we left it just as clean.
Well, maybe that's why you liked the Kitchener, because it was like. I remember mom. That's what mom said. That was her favorite town.
Yeah, she there was a lot of Germans around there, and I guess there was a lot of Germans around Hershey, Pennsylvania, and they used to. And I remember they ate pig's tails. Was that
Pig knuckles?
Pig's knuckles. I couldn't believe it. All the stuff they're eating, and after the games, some of the games. We used to go up to the booster club and they'd have all. There was really, she just loved it.
Oh, Mom loved it. You know what? We moved around a lot. Kitchener and Spokane and Springfield. We moved around a lot. Mom could always make the place be homey, and she always knew where to shop. She could adapt to any place where we were living, eh?
Well, she was. I think she was 18 when we first started to move. It was. How did we get into that anyhow?
Oh, we're just talking about what place you liked to play. So, Dad, we're going to take a few questions from the Twitterverse and Facebook and everything like that. So we'll start with...
Okay, Dad. Jimmy D, who it was nice enough to send us a picture of our old house in Rochester. Love that house.
It's red.
It's still red.
Still red.
Isn't that amazing?
No. When I painted it, it was Revere green.
Yeah, but it's red now.
It was
originally...
it's red
now.
It originally was red.
You know, I'll never forget that.
So anyway, the question...
Well, let me tell you about the house. And then I still laugh about it. We moved into the house. When I first looked at the house, they had all furniture in it. And then when I bought the house, $18,500, I didn't have enough money. Imagine me playing all those years. I didn't have enough money to pay. I had to borrow $2,500 off my mother-in-law. That was
just a down payment, right?
Yeah. Jeez. Anyhow, and I remember we moved in and we sat on orange crates, and I'll never forget. I said, Rose, and Rose never complained, but I could tell she was really disappointed. And I said, now I'll never forget this as long as I live. I said, you see, don't worry about it, Rose. I can fix this up. I said, now you can see this is all wallpaper. I said, around here. I said, you take that wallpaper off, I'll bet you that underneath there that it's as nice as pie. And I went over and I pulled the wallpaper off, and there was a great big hole. I'm laughing at it now, but I wasn't laughing then, boy. It was just terrible. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to drive you down to Hershey, and I'm going to say, you can stay down there a month. I said, just give me a month to get this place straightened out.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't know how we got into this.
Well, this guy...
Okay, Dad. So the question that he asked is, what did you do for work in Rochester in the off season?
Okay, I worked on construction, and I was pretty good construction. My specialty was the jackhammer. And then I get laid off, and I was a painter for and $2 an hour, and it cost. I had to pick up the paint in my car, and then I established myself as the world's worst car salesman, and that's what I did for
At Valley Cadillac.
Valley Cadillac, and they're still in Rochester, and then
Well, you got to tell. I think you should tell the story on kind of how you came to the conclusion that you weren't cut out for the car sales business.
I was trying to sell this guy a car, and I was terrified if somebody had asked me to buy a car. Believe it or not,
Because you never worked with the public before.
I never worked with the public.
I don't think you'd be a good salesperson,
I
Dad.
know. Thanks.
No.
Well, I wasn't. And the guy said to me, he's, you car salesmen are all alike. And I grabbed the guy and nailed him up against the wall. It's, what'd you say? I knew I was not maybe to
But
be a
Mom
car.
and I loved it because you got a brand new car
Yeah.
every other week. You drive,
I
and
hated
that's
it.
when Cadillacs were big and beautiful. Those Coupe de Villes and
Oh, yeah,
and
they were-
Eldorados, and God, they were gorgeous.
We had a black one. Remember the black one?
Just beautiful cars, and they'd always have that new car smell, and
Yeah.
it was the price you paid for Mom and I driving in a really nice car.
I hated being a car salesman because you have to have a special personality.
But you met some interesting people there. Remember, you met Irving Crane.
Irving Crane, the world's billiard champion, and
The world?
Remember? Yeah, he was the world.
A couple times, I think.
Yeah, and a couple of times. And remember, we went. Do you remember?
Oh, I remember. I was not that old. It was. I can't believe what I asked him. So here's the world champion of pool.
He was.
And all
Irving
this. So
Crane.
we went over, and they invited us over for dinner. Now this is really something. And you bring the kids. So anyway, I asked him. So Mr. Crane, are you going to show us any pool tricks?
And what did he say?
I don't do tricks. He goes like that. So
Well, I remember he was a stern guy.
yeah. Well, do you remember he looked like Ichabod Crane. Remember that? He
Well,
was,
I don't think. Well, I don't think.
Well, he
I
was
think
really
he looked
thin.
like. I thought he looked like Clint Eastwood.
Okay. So after
There's a big swing there from
Jeez.
Clint Eastwood to
I don't
Ichabod
know.
Crane.
Well,
But
Ichabod.
anyway, so after dinner, we went downstairs and he started to play pool. Talk about tricks. It looked like he showed us things that you physically didn't think that
Impossible.
a ball could move like that, like in air, and the tricks that he would do. And after
And
me,
he never do that. You know, it's the funny thing is, Cindy, I hate to interrupt you. I used to go out and he used to put on a show, and I'd break all the time, and I'd never touch the ball.
So you were
after
like the Washington Generals. And
yeah.
He was the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
And boy, he was dynamite. Irving Crane. I
remember that.
It was a long time ago.
Okay, Dad, Don Haslick from Facebook, he probably brought this question to you because there's been rumors going around that some of the players take a smoke in between periods. And he wants to know, did you play with any players that smoked?
Oh, yeah. And when I was in the minors, I was only in the minors. They used to smoke, but they used to smoke in the washroom.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did they try to keep it secret, or they were just
No, they try to keep, not a secret, but
low key?
just low key. He never.
The only one I remember smoking was Jerry Cheevers.
No, he just did it. He just fooling around.
But
Well-
he didn't do it during the game.
No, he never did it.
I thought he smoked casually because I remember him coming to the track when he had his horses
he
and he
used,
smoked.
he used to put on a show. He used to one of those guys that used to, when he had a cigarette, he'd put it in his teeth.
Yeah, he looked really good though smoking.
Yeah, he looked good.
There's some guys that can really smoke.
My dad
good.
looked really good smoking.
Oh,
He used
boy.
to have a cigarette holder.
Yeah, he had real
Well,
masculine.
that's why they used to have smoking in the movies.
Oh.
Because it made you look cool.
Boy,
and
now.
and that's why they don't have smoking in the movies, because they said you're in for you're
Glamorizing
You're glamorizing it. and
Yeah,
the guys
but you
look
are
at-
now. They're smoking now. Anyhow, the only guy that I know that had to smoke, just had to smoke, was Guy Lafleur. And I was 70-16, and he'd get there early. And let's see, the guys that get there early would be Orr, Bobby Clark, and Guy Lafleur. And he'd have to smoke. And he was a smoker.
Yeah, well, I remember him in the Canada when he was playing with the World Championships. He'd go out in the hallway.
Well, they wouldn't smoke in the dressing room. No, I've never seen players smoke in the dressing room.
He'd take a couple quick drags and he'd be back. Like it wasn't like a leisurely smoke.
But yes, in the minors, there was a lot of guys that smoked.
Would they smoke on the bus?
Smoke on the bus.
Really?
Oh, and you play and they play cards all night. Some of them play cards all night, and I must talk about the buses sometime. And everybody smoked on the bus, and it was blue.